Greetings and welcome to Stunthangar Video Hangouts. My name is Charles Carter and I'll be your host this evening. I want to extend to you my gratitude for you watching Stunthangar Video Hangouts. Now, if you're watching this as a replay, I want you to know that I host these YouTube live streams every Monday and Friday evening starting at 6:45 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So please make a note of this so you can watch or be part of the live stream. Plus, we have an after party following the live stream, which is sometimes better than the live stream portion. You must be a registered Stunthangar Forum member to find the link to be part of the live stream and the following after party. Here at Stunthangar Video Hangouts, we talk about building and flying model airplanes, sport flying, competition flying, and what you've been doing lately. To join our conversation, if you are already a member of Stunthangar Forum, you can find the link if you scroll down to the section called At the Bench, which is right below in memory of our friends, okay? And now, if you're not a member or not logged into Stunthangar Forum, the At the Bench link will not appear. Now, if you're not a member, please register at stunthangar.com/SMF. That's stunthangar.com/SMF. That's Smart Men Flying. That's courtesy of Jeff Riley. Now, when you register, you must place a space between your real first and last name when you register. You must also use a valid email address or Sparky. The proprietor of Stunthangar will not approve you. Now, if you're inclined to not come in, but just enjoy watching this on YouTube, wonderful, fantastic. Please enter your questions or comments in the chat box over there, and I'll do my best to make your comments or questions a part of the show. Now, please understand that sometimes I can't get a word in myself, so please be patient, and I will ask our illustrious panel your question or state your comments. And by the way, you only can make your comments or questions in the chat box during a live stream. So like I said, I host these YouTube live streams every Monday and Friday evening, starting at 6:45 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So come on in then, ask your question, post your comment, post a like, all that kind of stuff. If it's not convenient to watch the whole show, come in and do it anyhow, and then come back and watch the replay at a more convenient time, okay? Now, if you find the Stunthangar Video Hangouts that I host, or the many building videos, Saturday at John's, the contest coverage that Sparky does on this platform, informative and enjoyable, please hit, smash, kick the like button, hit the thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. Share the videos, comments. All these activities help the Stunthangar YouTube channel grow. Please consider joining Stunthangar's YouTube channel memberships, which start at just $4.99 a month, which is less than 17 cents a day. 17 cents a day. It's pretty much the cost of a cup of coffee at Starbucks. So we're just asking you to buy the equivalent of a Starbucks coffee once a month. Okay. You can also show your support by donating through the super chat, which is below the chat box, and you can donate any amount you like. And then your support is helping offset some of the expenses of running Stunthangar. And with the memberships, you get access and unlimited replay of member-only videos. And Sparky's always adding to that. And there's some videos you might not see anywhere else. So it's a great opportunity. Plus our panel, sometimes we have former world champions, former national champions. We pretty much have a panel that can really answer your question. And there's more than one way to do things. And you might get a variety of solutions, and you just kind of pick the one that suits your needs best, okay? Now, this is Sparky's YouTube channel. I just host this show for Sparky twice a week, Monday and Friday nights. I took over for a gentleman, Rusty. And so if you want to get in touch with me, go to my YouTube channel, which is called Flying Control Line Stunt. Just like I do, I fly control line stunt. That's my name of my YouTube channel. If you go there and locate the 2019 AMA National Championship video, you can see me flying at the 2019, I think it's a 19 or 16 times flying, AMA National Championships. And if you leave me a comment or a question there, I'll be able to respond to you quickly because that is my channel. This channel, I'm only here twice a week. I don't check the comments except for during the live stream. So that's the best way to reach me, okay? And I want to thank you for your past, your present, and future support. You are making it happen. Please keep the conversations family room friendly, and please, let's stay on model aviation. And if you please do that, please pretend like or behave like you have your children or grandchildren around you. So please don't say anything inappropriate or do anything that's inappropriate. And without any further ado, I'm going to post now the link at Stunthangar Forum. So that's how you get in here. I do get requests sometimes in the chat box, how to get in here. And unless I know you, this is really the only way you can get in here, or Sparky knows you. This is the way to get in here. And I'm posting the link now. So you go to stunthangar.com/SMF, locate at the bench, and then in there will be a link to the Zoom meeting, which has today's date. And that's how you get in here. Now, let me make my way to the to what I call the control panel and see how things are going. I'm hoping that we have a really good show tonight. Let me see what's going on. It looks like there's a few people in the chat already. Let me get to the control panel real quick. Hope everybody had a good week. I didn't get a chance to go do any flying today. Our flying field is basically, I would need to put some floats on the bottom of my plane to land. And anybody I live in Southern California. So if anyone's been noticing the news, we've been getting a deluge of rain. But fortunately, where I live, it's not as bad off as other places. I see Tom Rammel's in here first in the chat box. He says, like provided. Thank you, Tom. I appreciate that immensely. And Jack Snavely says, hello again. And he has some airplane stickers. Thank you very much for doing that, Jack. And let me do this real quick. Gonna just make a little adjustment here. So what I've been doing in the meanwhile is actually been working on my Brodak P40 ARF. It was given to me and it had quite a bit of damage. And when I first flew it, I think he actually had put some packing tape where the canopy was, and it just looked pretty tacky. And I might have mentioned this already earlier this week, Monday, but removed all that covering and replaced the clear and then put color on top of that. It actually was a pretty big job, but I like how it looks. It looks I wouldn't say it looks brand new, but it looks like how it's supposed to look. And I have a comment from Dennis Adamus, and he says, hi, Jack. Hi, Tom. Hi, Charles. Like provided. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. And so Joe Mata, who I fly with, he's actually going to go to the flying site tomorrow morning early and let me know if he thinks it's doable for us to go flying, which I've been coming down with circulitis. I haven't flown in, I think, a couple of weeks. So I'm really looking forward to getting out there again. And hopefully with not floats, but be able to take off and land on that terrain. The grass, I'm sure, has responded, how they normally does with rainwater. And let me mute my phone real quick. Man, just a second. Bear with me here. Oh, sorry about that. I just got a call from Bob Hunt. He was telling me that the link is not there. So just bear with me while I recreate a link. Man. Well, man, I tell you. Let's see here. Let me redo this here. Just give me a second here while I'm fixing this. Link. Okay, and let me edit this. Modify. Bear with me, everybody. That is, I think that's I posted the wrong thing at the wrong place. That's kind of interesting. Well, I think, it's the first time for everything, right? There we go. So, all right, I just posted the link, everybody. If you tuned in, it'll be there. It should be there now. I'm looking at it. And let me go back here. So, live streams. There we go. All right. Fantastic. Thank you, Bob. Thank you, Brendan.
Thanks. The link was down.
Well, Bob Hunt called me and told me all about it. I went and saw what I had pasted there. I think that's the very first time I've done that particular error. So I'm finding more and more ways to screw it up. So
welcome to old age.
Yeah, I understand. I know. It just shows I'm human, right? Hey, thank you, Howard, for coming in. And Mark Gerber's making his way in here. And let's see who else. Is that Paul making his way in here too? I'm not sure if it's Paul Taylor or Paul Walker or Lynn Paul. That's probably not going to be the case. Hey, Paul Taylor, thank you for coming in. And Mark Gerber, thank you for coming in, Mark. And it looks like Gary Sinclair is making his way in here. Fantastic, gentlemen. I appreciate it. So hopefully Jim Vornhol will make it in here shortly.
Oh, good.
Hey, Gary, how you doing?
Good.
How you feeling?
Thanks, Gary.
Better.
Thanks, Gary, for the calendar. We got the calendar. It's awesome. Appreciate you sending that out, man.
Okay.
Yeah, I need your address. I had it, but I can't find it.
Oh.
Whose address?
Gary's.
You want to type it in the chat box, Gary?
Yeah, I can.
How do I access that?
Yeah, when he does it.
Oh, chat. I got it.
Yeah.
Oh, when it gets done.
All righty. So I didn't do any flying this week, obviously, because of the rain. I had Joe Mata go and check the flight area, and he said that I would need to have some floats on my airplane to be able to land. So that was kind of a deal breaker. I don't have any floats.
Mm-hmm.
So anybody else do any building or flying in their shop? All right, Bob.
I did some flying.
You did some flying?
Yeah, it was really nice around here. It was up around almost 60 degrees, and Tom Hupp and I got out and tested out his new electric ARF SV11. And I got to tell you, it's one heck of a great flying airplane. It flies as good as anything around. So
I agree. Mine has a little bit of issue, but I'm sure that once I fix it, it's going to be a world beater. It just mine was getting light above 45 degrees inverted, and I think I've remedied that, but I haven't had a chance to fly it yet.
Well, his sure flies well. His brother helped him put it together, did the alignment, and the airplane is perfectly aligned. It turns dead equal, tracks like a freight train. It's an embarrassingly good airplane for an ARF, you know.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, the only plane I've flown that was better was probably Sparky's Junar.
Yeah, we got out today down here in Florida.
Hang on, Paul. go ahead and finish what you're saying, Paul, Bob. I didn't quite get that.
Yeah, and I flew the Usama, the Schaefer, which is essentially the Stunt Machine 1. And I've got that back in the air. And I figured I was going to have to, I put 1 minute, 20 seconds on the timer, thinking I was going to have to make handle setting adjustments and wing leveling adjustments and motor adjustments and balance adjustments, and I landed after the 1 minute, 20-second flight, put a new battery in, set it to 525 and started flying patterns. Thing flies great.
Wow. That's great.
I haven't flown it in years, and we got it back up and flying. And that'll be my, hopefully my backup airplane for Tucson.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah.
Hey, that's really good. Hey, Paul Taylor, what was you saying, Paul?
I was just saying we got out down here in Florida, and a couple of us and flew.
Oh, cool. Very,
Yeah.
very cool.
Yeah. So we got a new guy that I guess a retread that's coming back. So we're trying to get him going. He's learning the beginner pattern.
Very good. Very good. Now, what did you fly?
Mike Waldron, he gifted me one of his old trikes, and it flies like it's on rails. It flies better than the nut at the end of the handle can fly it.
Well, that's a good position to be in.
Yeah.
That's always good to have a better plane than you.
Yeah. So I'm enjoying it. I'm really getting comfortable with it. So yeah.
Very, very good. Let me welcome welcome you, Stuart. Stuart, thank you for coming in.
Yep.
And John Miller, thank you, John, for coming in. And Sparky's came in. Thank you, Sparky. And Brad Lapointe is in here too. Thank you. And then Mark Wise. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you for coming in. Appreciate it. So we was just kind of going around and just explain about if you did any flying or building, what you've been up to. And we just ended up with Paul. Has anybody else done any flying or building they want to share?
It was nothing major, but yeah, I mean, we're up here in Pennsylvania, but probably the same weather that Bob got. We got a warm snap last week. So Angstrom got out with the Pathfinder. He's, I guess probably the hardest stunt is still the hourglass for us. So he spent some time really trying to get the hourglass that thing out. But, for not flying for a month and a half or so, he had the pattern down. So it was good to get out and get some flying done.
That's good. The hourglass is, well, if you don't start it right, at least in my experience, if I don't start it right, it's kind of hard to salvage that maneuver.
Mm-hmm. Well, instead of doing an hourglass, try to just fly an egg timer.
An 8-timer.
Yeah, an egg timer. You ever see an egg timer?
Oh, yeah.
Then you flip over.
Yeah.
That'd be too small. That'd be only 3 minutes.
Good point.
That's only a 20th the size for an hourglass.
You know what's fun is he's developed he's just learned I think back in the spring, so he's developed a couple of hiccups along the way. Back in September we were at the Cleveland event, and I think he had a couple times where, what was it, you did like 3 horizontal 8s, instead of double horizontal 8s, it was 3,
and the 1 hourglass did hit.
Yeah, it was 3 horizontal 8s. So he hiccuped and was doing that a little bit. And then when we got out and flew last week, he was only doing 2 outside loops instead of finishing a third. So just every once in a while, there's just these little things that get caught. And he did it twice over last week. So
he's too young. He's too young for CRS.
Yes, he is. Well, Bob Hunt shared with me that he actually talks through his stunt pattern. He says what's coming up next, and he counts his maneuvers. So do you do that, Angstrom? Do you count and talk to yourself?
No, not really.
Yeah, try that.
It does 3 things for you. One is if you count laps, you'll never leave out a lap. And then if you tell yourself before you do the next maneuver what the next maneuver is, and after you finish that maneuver, tell yourself out loud what the next maneuver is, so you can hear it in your ears, and count your laps. And it does. You'll never leave out a maneuver. You'll never leave out a lap or do an extra lap. And you'll be so busy talking to yourself and reminding yourself of all this that you won't get nervous.
So when you say counting laps, I mean, are you getting to lap 12 and 13 and then 14? Like,
No, just laps between maneuvers.
Okay.
Like you finish your square loop and you count 1, 2, then you remind yourself what the next maneuver is, and you say it out loud. No, don't make it a chemical process. Make it physical. Say it out loud to yourself. You'll hear it and you'll remember it.
Hey, Bob.
Yeah.
What was that maneuver you left out at VSC? I couldn't help it. It was just laying there.
Which time?
Yes.
I've tried what Bob has told you to do, Angstrom, and it really does help. It truly does. I'm just having fun with Bob.
Good. Actually, when we got out there, I started talking to him and asking him what's going through your mind when you're getting, setting up the next stunt. And I don't think we've really thought about that. So much of it has been just, trying to get to the point of the full pattern. But I started talking to him about like, okay, well, just because you get a maneuver done, like it's not just break time. Like you need to start thinking about the next maneuver, what's coming next, what it is you're trying to nail and be ready for the next part. It's not just 2 laps of break time and then, okay, the next one's here I go.
Exactly. But say it out loud. So you hear it. Yeah. Say it out loud.
I also will coach myself on tendencies. Like when I come up with the squares, I'll say, don't focus on the corners, focus on the flats. Right before I do the maneuver, and also will tell myself on the hourglass, take it easy on that second corner, stuff like that. Just all my tendencies that I know I've been working on, I remind myself to those things like that.
That was another tip that Bob threw out there. He said that one night and I wrote it down. It's like focus on what the plane's going to need on the next maneuver.
Right.
Each airplane, has individual characteristics in certain maneuvers, and you got to remind yourself what that airplane requires. And again, it's one more thing that keeps you occupied, so you don't get nervous. You're too busy thinking of, counting laps, telling yourself what maneuver's next, and telling yourself what this airplane requires for that maneuver, and you just don't get nervous.
Hey, Charles.
Hey, Mark, how you doing?
I'm good. I think I saw Keith with his hand up.
Yeah, I wanted to welcome Keith. Hey, Keith, thanks for coming in. Appreciate it very much.
Well, thanks for that. I forgot what I was going to say, so it must not have been. I talk to myself out loud all the time, old time or regular stunt, and count laps particularly. And just matter of keeping your mind in what you're doing out there.
Yep.
The other thing is, I think doing that, talking to yourself and all that helps as far as nervousness. The other thing is, I think some people also think that everyone's watching them, and it's a surprise, but not everyone's watching you fly, unless you're, I don't know, maybe if you're, maybe people watch Dave Fitzgerald, maybe they watch Bob Hunt, maybe. Maybe
I've looked over and the judges haven't been watching, so
yeah, maybe they're watching Keith Trossel, maybe they might, but you know what, they're not watching you typically, but we just think that everyone's watching us, and so we're so nervous out there, but people, unless you're someone who's who, they're not really watching you. Maybe a few are watching, but most people aren't. They're busy getting prepared for their next flight or busy doing something that they need to do, and they're waiting. Maybe they're waiting for you to stop flying so they can get out in the center of the circle so they can show off, And
if they are watching you out in the center of the circle and you're talking to yourself, they may think you're crazy.
They might feel pity for you though.
Maybe. Yeah.
Unless you're
The reason not to go electric, they can't hear you.
That's true. That's true. They hear you with electric. Yes.
Is that Lynn? Is that Lynn?
No, that was Brad LaPointe.
Oh.
if you were Bob Whiteley, why you'd go out there and tell everybody and say, now watch this.
Nah.
Well, Brad,
true. So true.
Brad, That's
Yeah.
that's the only reason not to go electric.
Well, for you guys looking for a reason not to go electric, I just found one for you.
Yeah, one.
Yeah. Let me welcome Dennis Adamson. Thank you, Dennis, for coming in. And he's showing let me make this big. And also welcome Philip Bailey. Thank you. Let me make what is this? I will not pick on Glow. 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 Very good. I will not pick on Glow. Love it. That's great.
All right. As somebody who just joined the madness, what was the one reason not to go electric?
Oh, because we encourage people to talk to themselves out loud when they're doing the official flight, or even practice, excuse me, any flight, to talk to yourself, count the laps in between maneuvers, and then let yourself know, hey, our next maneuver is XYZ.
I do that talking to myself either way.
Yeah, but people can't hear you if it's IC, internal combustion.
I think what Brad was driving at was sometimes you make a mistake. You know, if you have a Glow engine and you go, oh, darn, they can't hear you. But if you do it flying electric and you go, oh, darn, they'll hear you.
Yes.
Well, no, that's true. That's true.
Yeah, you got to
I
pretend
used
like
to play a lot of
you do
hockey.
it.
There's a lot more than darn.
The family program.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. I flew the other day and I said, oh, shucks, and they heard me. Oh, well.
First contest, I met Jim Kostecki. We were up in a site in Canada, Eastern Canada, near, wasn't too far from Toronto, I don't think. And Jim was getting ready to fly. He's getting ready to start signaling the judge. And the judge had a timer there. He was lighting the fuse on a JetX model.
Oh, Lord.
So the judge was accused of not being there now, you know, wasn't exactly there. So,
yes.
Well, Dennis, after seeing your slogan up there, I want to give you one that I've lived by.
What's that?
You can pick your friends and you can pick your nose, but you can't pick your friend's nose.
We've heard all these.
So
You can't? Oh,
keep that in mind.
Good idea.
We were talking about judges and judges watching. Judges sometimes will watch with a critical eye. Occasionally, they'll use both eyes, but it's rare.
That's good. That's good. I like that.
I like it when the wind shifts and you're trying to get the judges to move and they refuse. They stay there, so they're judging your maneuver from the 90 degrees off of where you're at.
Yeah, I've had that happen too.
Did you notice that when the judges were younger, like when we were younger, they would move more readily?
I noticed that.
Noticed that, yeah.
I noticed the last time I judged at VSC, I didn't move as much as I used to either.
Now, Sparky at Brodax, the wind shifted and he just did his maneuvers upwind, and he just kind of, I think he walked into the maneuvers. He took paces toward the plane, if I'm not mistaken.
Seems to me that I watched Joe Gilbert flying at the Nats. Was it last year or the year before they had so much wind? But he was walking backwards, to try to keep some line tension on the lines. So the plane was upwind and he was backing up pretty fast to keep, so he had tension on his lines. And you can do that if you're good.
That was
I have never, I've watched a lot of contests. I've judged a lot of contests. I've watched a lot of people fly. I've never seen anybody as active in the center of the circle as Joe Gilbert.
Oh, what was his name? There was a guy.
I know who you're thinking about.
The guy it's like watching a ballet out there.
Yeah.
Just his hands and arms, feet, and legs going every which way.
Do you remember?
He designed the Spectrum.
Do you remember Jimmy Casal?
That's
Jimmy
what
that's the
Castell,
one.
that's who he's talking about. That's who he's talking about.
I thought, yeah,
I missed
that was the most
match.
active flyer. That was the most active flyer I've ever seen in the center of the circle.
Yeah.
I have heard about Jimmy's center of the circle annex. I never got to see Jim fly. Hey, Jim Fornold's coming in.
Yes, he is. And what do you got there, Stuart? You got a little Snoopy there for us?
Yeah.
Oh.
They make it big.
Oh, look at that.
Oh, very cool. So how tall
Oh,
is
I
that?
want the little one. I want the little one. That's
What a
cool.
great pilot figure.
That is. That's great.
That's
So I can
That
get
is
these
adorable.
made. We had one little issue with it.
Uh-huh.
Got his neck broken. So the fellow that printed it up for him, he said he actually broke the neck. So
that's not a Williams Brothers piece?
No. That's adorable.
Very good. Very good.
So I'm not sure if we made these up, if you'd be better just to cut the neck and put a like a dowel or toothpick or something in there and repoxy it. He had kind of repoxied, used some parts near the post in there somehow.
Yeah.
That's an idea. Yeah, a little dowel might
That
work.
might be a good idea, but that is so cute.
Oh, I was going to weigh him too. Just a sec.
Can't be much to it.
Hey, Stuart, what if you increase the infill on it?
Well, I was going to ask him that too.
Yeah,
That can be done, but then
Yeah, neck bigger, yeah.
The problem is then you start to increase the weight.
Well, yeah,
Well, it wouldn't be that much. It wouldn't be that
Yeah, if
much.
you're
Just
sticking-
make the neck bigger.
if you're going to stick a plastic pilot in there, at some point, weight probably doesn't become the issue.
Yeah. If you're gonna take orders on those, put me down for 3. That's cool. I like
Yeah, I
that.
had you down for 2. We'll change that then.
Yeah, I've got I'm downstairs carving a Snoopy to go in my SV11, and that would be a neat. I guarantee you that's lighter than my wooden one.
Yeah. So if there's anybody else, I'll see what I can do about getting them done.
I'd like to have some.
Okay.
See what they want for 3 of them, and I'd like to have 3 of those.
I'll take 2 of them.
Oh, you want 2? Because I had you down for 1.
Yeah, they look so cute. I gotta have another one.
Okay. I hope Bob will print these up for me, but we'll see what I can do.
Yes,
But,
How much does it weigh?
I got to put a new battery in my my scale. So
It
you guys
comes
go ahead.
with a battery.
What's that?
It comes with a battery.
No, he's talking about the scale.
My scale needs batteries put in. But you guys go ahead and talk or whatever.
All right, sounds good. Let me
reminds
welcome
me-
Jim Vornholt. Thank you for coming in, Jim.
Hi, Jim.
Good to see you, Jim.
Sorry about the
Charles.
mix. I understand they didn't have the link posted correctly right away. So Bob Hunt called me and saved the day. Told me I didn't have the link posted. I posted
naughty,
something,
naughty.
but I didn't post it. You might have came in
Naughty,
after
naughty.
that, and it looked fine for you. But
We had.
Can you hear me all right?
yeah, I hear
Yeah.
you fine, Jim.
Okay.
Hey, Jim, the pilot on my twin boomer,
Torino.
one that you used
Torino?
to fly. I got
The Torino.
Darth Vader in there.
Oh, okay.
And
Well,
everybody, go ahead, Phil.
Since Jim's here, I unrolled those plans and got them laying on my bench, and that plane's liable to get built. That's something about that Torino. It's just, that's a neat airplane.
It is.
I don't know if it's going to balance right with batteries and a motor, but we're going to find out.
Sure it will.
Yeah, it will.
That thing just
Mine's
looks
got
good.
an IC. It's got a Magnum 35 in it, and it's just perfect. Didn't have to add any weight anywhere.
Did you have to add some elevator area, John?
I did. The elevator area showed on the plans. was just not enough. It was just too soft. But maybe the airplane was too heavy. I don't know. But I added some, and Sheiks told me that he had to add some. It was about the same amount, he said. So it
about 3/8 of an inch.
Very nicely.
So it's a legal modification then.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's about 3/8 of an inch is what's marked on my plan. It's just you just had a little check mark on each side. You didn't put the mark across, but there's a little mark on each side that's 3/8 inch back of the original elevator. And when we talk, I think you said it was Sheik approved or something like that. So I said, okay, well, he designed it. He ought to know.
Yeah.
You're
That's a
right.
neat airplane.
You're gonna find out when you fly it. It's like flying a toothpick. It's so slender.
Yeah.
So slender out there. Did you find that, Jim, when you flew it?
Where'd Jim go?
I don't know if you can hear me.
Jim's
That was
counting laps.
That's the problem I had with the Tiyasaki is it's like flying a toothpick.
Yeah.
But one thing about it, there's enough straight area there that it accentuates the squares. It doesn't do a darn thing for the rounds, but if you miss a square, everybody knows it.
I had similar issues with the Genesis and Schaefer's USA Ama too. It's very narrow top to bottom. You know, if you miss a maneuver, it shows up. But if you make one, you know, it shows up too.
Bob, I got one question. I'm gonna try to shut up and listen. Do you have, when you made the new the new Genesis, is the nose moment the same as the original?
No, because it's electric. I extended it quite a bit.
Do you know how much?
Almost 2 inches longer than the
2 inches. Then the plans for the Super, the Genesis Extreme. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, I had marked it down for 1 inch, not 2.
Well, you know, you can get away with 1 inch, but you may have to add a little bit of dead weight to get it to balance. I figured just move the motor out further, and that way you don't have to put in just dead weight for balance.
Yeah, well, since that was a 40, the plane was designed as a 40 size. What motor did you end up in it?
With the electric motor?
Mm-hmm.
I got a 35 millimeter Cobra in it right now. It will eventually get a 35-15 710 or a 580 badass.
I got to figure out. I've got to learn KV because I don't know. Somebody was telling me the other night that somebody called me. I asked about the Noblers the other night, and I told them I put a 2814 in it, and mine is I don't remember. It's the smallest KV. I was thinking the smaller KV would be better, and I was told no, you put the too small a motor in it. I need to go with a 960 or a 11 something. So I have to buy another motor and try it and see what happens. But my little whatever it is winding as hard as I can get it to wind, and it just doesn't fly the plane fast enough. Just doesn't have enough.
What KV are you using?
I don't know. It's the smallest one. 5. I'll look it up. I don't know.
Well, you probably get. You have how many cells are you running?
4.
You can't run a 4-cell with a 500 kV motor. You got to run at least 6 cells. 6-cell motor with that.
Oh well, maybe that's why I'm having problems.
Yeah, with the 4-cell, you're going to be up someplace around 980 to 1,000 or 1,100 kV with a 4S motor, 4S battery.
Okay, that I didn't know, so I'll try that.
What plane is that, Phil?
Nobler, the ARF Nobler.
Okay.
It was my first electric, and when I built it, I decided this airplane had a problem. Someone else had started it, and it had a problem in the front end. So I cut the motor mounts out of it. Decided I'm gonna make my first electric, and it first had a 2820 Prodac motor in it, and that didn't seem to do it. So I put a 2820 Badass in it, and then I found out that the ESC was the problem. So I changed the ESCs,
Yeah, I had a 2820 970 kV and a Nobler, and it was overpowered.
970. Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, a 2820 ought to carry it, or in my opinion, anyway.
That's what I'm running now. It's a 2820 780 with a 5S 2200 and the Usta Amba, and it just works great. I flew it a number of flights this past Monday, and came home, charged battery, took one of the batteries, and the charger said it was started charging at 36%. So
Wow.
yeah, it's not using any battery at all. It's really good. And
I
that was
was-
a colder day, which is a denser air. So when it gets warmer out, it's going to use even less.
So I was running 4 cells on that 2820, and I'm running those same 4 cells on a 3520 on this Shrike. And when I get done with the pattern, it's almost at a storage charge.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
I have a
That's
little
really
show and
nice.
tell since we're on the subject of classical airplanes and those motors. I've been working on the Caprice that I'm going to take with Jim on our road trip out to Tucson.
I think so. It's already got a collar on.
6.1 grams for Snoopy.
How many
How
grams?
many?
6.1 grams.
Just
Oh.
under a quarter ounce.
I take 3.
So
This is, I just got the
That's
canopy all faired in today.
Oh,
Look
nice.
at that.
And I
That's
got
good.
the cowl separation lines were done with the super fill. And
Very
this
nice.
is that fiberglass spinner that's being advertised on eBay. This carbon fiber spinner, and these things are great. I mean, they're just beautiful spinners. I just got it taped in place now. There's no motor in it right now, but
Do it first. And then...
Looks great.
coming along.
Is that the bottom? You got the bottom load on that, Bob?
Yeah, this is a bottom loader. And I got and I broke one of my own rules, and I used magnets this time, but I did 2 of them. And when I put them in there and tried to take the cowl off, I almost thought I was going to break the cowl trying to get it off.
Yeah, those 2 magnets are really
So
strong.
let me just open this up. Hold on a second. I don't want to do it too hard here. Takes a little bit of effort.
You need a crowbar?
Well, there's the cavity.
Very
Here's
nice.
the-
Wow. Beautiful as usual.
Yeah.
And the ESC is going to sit right in here.
Oh yeah.
There's a little shelf in there with a hole underneath it, so I can put a tie wrap in there, tie wrap the ESC right on the balance point of the airplane, and you know, have plenty of room in the electronics bay, as we call it now. Not a tank compartment anymore, electronics bay. But
Very nice.
yeah, coming along.
Are
I
there
should
any
have-
pins?
Huh?
Are there any pins on that cowl, like in the front?
Yeah, there's locators in the back. But I got to tell you, when this thing goes on, you'll hear it when I get stuff in place here.
Wow, yeah.
It really goes, and I mean, it ain't coming off. You know, it ain't moving.
Where's the plane?
So, but if it does, you know, you can all do what I told you. So, you know. So,
Yeah.
Anyway, it's right now it weighs 18 ounces, 2 coats of epoxy on it, and it's ready for primer probably around Thursday of next week. That's the earliest I can get up to Joel's and shoot it at his place where he does his restorations. So,
Very good.
yeah.
Nice.
And this pilot, by the way, is one that Jim Hoffman sent me, and I painted it, and using the techniques that Don Typond showed me on that How to Paint Pilots video we did together.
Yeah.
And like you were recommending before, I cut most of it off and put a stick up through into the head and epoxied it to the top of the bottom of the helmet. And then that stick is flush with the platform that it glues to in the airplane. So it's not going anywhere. And especially since there's no vibration in the thing, you know, so.
You
Anyway.
impaled the pilot.
I impaled the pilot.
Yeah, with a pike right through his head.
Vlad Tepes.
Thank you very
Dracula.
much.
Hey, Charles, can I do a quick demo on KVs?
Yeah, go ahead. That's I know there's people who have questions about KVs. I do too.
No, I don't know. I think this would, let's see if I can do
Let me
this.
welcome Tryan. Thank you for coming in, Tryan, and Carl. Carl, thank you for coming in. Appreciate it.
This one's 870, Bob.
Okay, everybody see a calculator on the board there?
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah.
Okay. Quick thing on KV. If you're using, say, on his Nobler, something like the 10 5.8 prop is a really, really good prop for it, and it likes to turn around 9,500 RPM. Okay.
All right.
ESCs need to run somewhere between 70 and 85% throttle. If it's any more than that, then you don't have any so-called headroom on the top to make up for any shortfalls when you're trying to what you call govern the top end. Any less than that, and you get some signal to noise ratio issues and stuff, and your control goes bad. So it's a good idea to use 70% throttle. And if I target RPM is 9,500, then I'm going to divide that by 0.7. And that means the total RPM capability at 100% throttle should be about 13,570. All right. Now a 4-cell pack has a nominal voltage of 14.8. All right. So you do all that, and that basically tells me that I need a KV at 917 to run the motor at 70% throttle.
So my motor's too small. I've got
Right,
870.
So let's go
Okay.
870 times 14.8. Let's see, equals, that's max RPM capability at nominal voltage on a 4-cell pack.
Okay.
But
that's not
you wanted, let's say you back to that 9,500. Let's see, and oops, I got to do a 1 over. That means you're running at 74% throttle just to maintain that, which means that you've lost some of your top end capability, lost about 4% on it. It should be capable of it, but you're pushing it. All right.
Hey,
And
Dennis,
a bigger KV motor.
Hey,
Okay.
Dennis, for those of us that are slow, can you repeat that? Go over that one more time.
Sure. Let's see. Let's see which part, where I started or with Phil's example.
Yeah, Phil's example. So you said a KV of 870.
Yeah, what that means is that for 1 volt, the motor will turn 870 RPM. All right.
All right. So you take
And
that and multiply that by the voltage.
Voltage of the motor, or excuse me, of a 4-cell pack. Oops. Only next time, was that again 870?
Yeah.
Only next time, remember the multiplication sign. All right. So it'll do 870 RPM on 1 volt, but at 14.8, it'll do 12,876. That's 100% throttle, everything it's got. All right. Now, look at it another way. Let's say we wanted to run the motor at that mentioned at 70 to 80, 85% range. Let's just take that times 0.7. It means that motor is going to be at its happiest running about 9,000 RPM. All right. Which in most cases means you're going to be running a 6.5, maybe a 7-inch pitch to get the RPM or to get the airspeed you need at 9,000 RPM. So when you're telling Phil he was running out of speed, it's because he's on the other end of it. And frankly, at 74%, it sounds like there might still be other things. Do you know which prop you're using, Phil?
Yeah, I'm using it's a 10-6. It's that special one. I've forgotten what they call it, but F2B prop, 10.6 F2B.
10, all right, 10 5.8 should be running around 95, 9,600 RPM. You should be all right. There is no 10.6 F2B. It's a 10.5.8. If you're running a 10.5, it needs to run a little over 10,000 RPM. That's what I was suspecting
So
that
would
you
you
might
go
be up
to
against.
would you go to a 1300 or a 1950?
1950 is way too fast. What are the choices again?
1300 or 1950? Well, there's a 950,
There you go.
980.
That's-
There's a 980 kV.
980 would drop right in, and you'll be a much happier camper with that.
All right, I'll get that then. I'll order one.
So anyhow, if you just go through and walk yourself through it, you can take that and you can, with any assumption on the number of cells in your battery, 3, 4, 5, 6 cells, you can work it backwards and get a and get your KB.
Okay.
Or over time, really, you just kind of learn it. For me, I think 900 to 1,000 for 4 cells, around 700 to 800 for 5 cells, and maybe around 600 to 650 or so for 6 cells. And if you're going to run something like, say, the Igor prop, where you need a much higher RPM range, then you might you bump that up a little bit. But there are people running 900 kV motors on 6 cells, and you can't understand why things aren't working too well. And it's because that they're working at such a low throttle rate rating that the signal and the control, the signal and noise just gets out of hand. So.
I have a question, which I've been curious about. So how is there a chart that tells you that range of when you use a 4 cell, when you use a 6 cell? I mean, or is this common knowledge that I don't know?
Oh, I don't know if it's common knowledge or anything like that. I made something up. I put an article in Stunt News about 2015 or so. Let me see if I can find that, and I'll post it back up in the electric forum or something like that.
Okay,
Sounds
that's
good. Sounds good, Dennis.
I'm always curious why some are using 6 cell and why some 4 cell. I don't
Damn. Sorry.
I don't know if I'm doing it right, but I kind of look at Badass's chart there, figure out, look at the lap times or the speed and the prop, and kind of sort it out that way and come out with
it's kind of hard to do that because the charts are all based on 100% output. We don't fly at 100% output. All right.
Yeah.
So it really, it's still stirring the tea leaves, I guess, when you do it that way. And I mean, it really is. And what I've done is when I was looking at these little motors, I put the 5.8 prop on it and saw that the thing, it was going to be at, I think it was 10,500. The motor was going to run out, and I needed to run it at 9,500. And I just took a leap of faith that, hey, I'm not going to be running it. I'm going to be running it, 1,000 RPM slower than the max. So I should be well within, what the motor can do. And it seemed to work out.
Yeah.
So you can go from there. But yeah, I flew an airplane in Tucson last year. I had the kV on the motor was so low that I could not get enough RPM out of it. And when I when I got home, I changed motors and I was able to get enough RPM out of it. And the airplane just, of course, leaps alive and everything like that. So
we lost somebody. Who we lose?
Very well.
We lost somebody.
Trayan. I don't see Trayan, and I don't see
Trayan's still here.
Berkey's
got. He disappeared off my screen. By the way, hi Trayan. Good to see you.
That's it.
I know he can't stay long because he has to go to work tomorrow.
Yeah.
Oh man, I thought you get a day off or something, a Saturday or something. But
let me.
Well, that's right. That's right. It's Friday. Tomorrow. That's right. Today's Friday. I'm sorry. I'm wrong end of the week.
I want to share with you our 2023 calendar.
Woohoo!
Yeah,
that's
cool.
it.
So you guys
see that's a Pathfinder.
Yeah. So we have Robert Gore there with his Pathfinder and Dennis Nunes. And this is an example of Gary Sinclair's work, which is fantastic. He does a great job.
Pretty work.
Great job. And he actually has his physical address posted in the chat. So if you'd like to send a donation for to have his address, let's go into the chat box. And he does have an email. If you want to add your email to that, Gary. Did we lose Gary? Oh, Gary's still there. You awake, Gary? Hey, Gary, wake up, Gary.
He works hard.
Well, you know, he's been sick. He's not, I'm glad he's in here. So even if he's asleep, I'm glad he's in here because he's hasn't been feeling well. So
I'm sorry to hear that.
We'll give him some grace. He's manning up, just coming in here.
Yeah.
But anyway, so that's the calendar, and Bob Gore with his Pathfinder. You can see it's powered by LA 46, and then Dennis Nunes. And unfortunately, he lost this plane at the Las Vegas Stunt Challenge. So
oh no,
he probably really appreciates this photograph. And yeah, I forgot what happened. I think it just stopped. I think he was, I don't remember if it was the hourglass, which is always a hazardous maneuver, right? But it was not high enough that he could run it out. Hey, Mark, did you see that event when he lost his electric circulus? You're muted, Mark, by the way.
Yeah, no, I didn't see it happen, but I saw it right after it happened. But I think it was the overhead. He was doing something right up above his head, and the motor just stopped.
Yeah, so unfortunately, he lost that.
Electric.
And that was I think that's one of his favorite airplanes. It was just, and it, you know, he flew it in profile and he was extremely competitive, and he flew it in Pampa. I believe he flew it at the Nats last year too. So anyways, there's an address of Gary's address there in the chat box. If you want to write down his address and send him a donation, that'd be greatly appreciated.
Hey, Gary. Gary?
He's asleep. He's watching us with his eyes closed.
Meditating.
For me to send money down to the States, I'm not sure how I can do it. Do you have a PayPal account?
Yeah, he has an email address. I'll type it in the chat box. Let me find it, and that'd be another way for you guys to donate is through the PayPal. Let me see here. It's on my phone, so let me add that in there. So let me see here. Just give me a moment here. Let me take down this. I'm gonna stop sharing. I just want to give an example of January, and I forgot to show it last Monday. So all right. So let me go back to. I probably missed a bunch of comments in the chat box. Let me see what's going on in the chat. Yeah, there's Bill Bowner. He says, "Hi, Charles. Great show as usual. Like provided." Well, thank you very much. Appreciate that, Bill. Tom Rammel says 40 inches of snow so far this season in Minnesota. 14 inches this last snowfall. Got the Bobcat stuck again, so no flying here. Yeah, no flying here either because you need to have floats on your airplane to fly at my flying site.
That's in California where it never rains.
Oh, I know, but did you see how the kind of rain? They call it a bomb, the rain we're getting out here. Unfortunately, it's more toward the northern part of the state. I'm down in Southern California, so I'm getting a lot of rain.
The last time I was in California, it lived up to the song. It never rains in California, but it pours.
Yeah.
You don't want to be here the day it does rain, or there the day it does rain. Wow.
So let me get Gary Sinclair's email address. I'll put that in the chat, our chat. Let me see here. So this is to everyone. I'm typing in his email address as we speak. Gary's email is
Hey guys, I'm gonna have to go. I gotta go to bed.
You feeling any better, John? You sound a tiny bit better.
I'm feeling a
little
little
bit.
bit better, but it's hanging in there. So
John, I wish you luck, brother. That was the toughest bug I've had in years.
yeah, I think I got the same thing you had. Anyway, y'all do well.
Hey, thank you for coming in, John. I appreciate it. I mean, you really
Take
did
care,
man up
John.
coming in as
Hey,
well.
John.
Appreciate it.
Hi,
We'll
John.
see y'all.
Jim Vornholt called me this afternoon and said he's putting together, or was it yesterday? I guess it was. He's putting together some photos to show us.
All right. You guys, I just posted Gary Sinclair's email address. So if you go to PayPal and you search for that email address, you can donate that way. And if you want to do it the old-fashioned way with sending money or check or whatever, you can do it. The address, his physical address. Hey, Gary, I just showed your calendar. I just showed
Yeah, I
January.
saw that.
Oh, you saw it? Was you looking through your eyelids or what?
Probably.
But you probably saw it because you've seen it so many times.
Yeah, he put it on YouTube and shared it with 3 or 4 million of our closest friends. So
Yeah. So they have your physical address in our chat to send you a donation that way, or they have the email. Will you double check and make sure I typed your email in correctly? I know it's some people get confused, and I could be mistaken, but I think I have it in there right.
Sounds right.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All righty. So, hey, Jim Vonhorn, are you ready to show us?
Well, you're going to have to walk me through how to get to the pictures again. I did it at one time, but I'm not sure how to do it.
Well, you want to bring up the pictures you want to show first.
Okay.
Bring it up on your screen.
Bring the pictures up. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see. Let's see if I can do that. Wait a minute.
While you're doing that, hey, Carl, there's a possibility, depending upon the field conditions, Joe's going to check out the flying site, and he's going to get back to me early. So if you can come up tomorrow, or can and motivated to you, it might work out to get some flying in tomorrow. I understand, you might not be able to come, but I just want to let you know that we're doing that. Possibly.
Well, thank you, Charles. But we are really committed to watch our grandkids tomorrow.
Okay.
Daughter-in-law and her husband are taking the youngest boy to the Monster Jam tomorrow afternoon. So we gotta watch the other 3.
Okay.
So, thank you, though.
You're welcome. Well, tell Sawyer I said hi, and I look forward to us flying again.
Hey, Charles.
Hey.
Hey, I think I'll try it next week. I can't get the pictures come up right. I didn't load them right, I guess. So.
Oh, really? Oh.
Yeah, I'll do it next week.
Okay.
Okay.
No problem. Okay, I'll withhold the check then until you, you know.
Okay. Okay.
Jim, did you used to
Can
be a
I
rower
share
or
something
something
again?
What was that?
Can I share a graph?
Yeah, please do.
All right.
And Phil, what was you saying, Phil?
I was asking Jim if he used to be a rower. Those look like some pretty good sized oars on the wall behind him.
Oh, okay. I have to check it out.
Hey, that's pretty cool. Let me see it.
All right. Actually, if you got the Excel or something like that, you can set this up in not very long or anything like that. And all this is, take the nominal voltage, 3, 4, 5, 6 cells. And then on the other side is just the operating RPM and the motor kV you need to do that. So if you're going to run, if you got a prop, you got to run 10,000 RPM. That means you need a about a 600 with 6 cells, about a 720, I think it is, with 5. And 4, you're up around 900, and with a 3 cell, you're at about 1200. Okay, so whatever your target RPM is, you can work it backwards. And one of those loosey-goosey things is that you're better being a little high rather than being a little low on the KV.
Okay.
But and the keyword is a little. Don't go crazy on that.
It looks like it's set for 75%.
Yeah, that was set for 75%. This is another one here where that 70 to 85% range. That's another way of showing it. Motor's got to be in this range or you're really going to be hurting. And this actually showed the experience that at that time had been posted on a bunch of different APC props. And I was just trying to post what kind of RPMs are needed and things like that. But at any rate, you can do that. You can do that here, but if you do it, start putting up 2 curves for every single battery, it starts getting really tangled up in a hurry. So just picking a 75% point just really shows, the big picture at least shows what you're up against. You could easily make that a 70% rated RPM or whatever percent you wanted, obviously. And let's see, there's other things, maximum. But at any rate, that's if you go through and just mess around with, play the numbers games, that's one of the beautiful things about electric is that it is, nobody has ever convinced me, or anyway, that they know how to match up, say, the horsepower rating of a glow engine, assuming they can even find it, and then turn around and tell me what kind of prop they need or something like that. All right.
Yeah.
But with the electric stuff, it's all mathematical relationships, A, B, C, D. Doesn't tell you if the motor's going to burn up or anything like that, but there's actually, if you start going through the motor charts on the innovated site and stuff, you start learning things about that. For example, one of the good things about the badass motors is that they all have much higher current ratings than any of the Cobra motors. So comparable size badass to Cobra is capable of taking on more current and a bigger load and doing a better job without toasting itself. So I don't know.
Yeah.
But at least on paper, it's possible to fly any airplane with any number of cells if you can get the right motor and KV combination to turn the prop that you need to fly the airplane. So,
Hey, Dennis, where did you get that information from? The graph there.
I made the graphs. The 70 to 85% information was given to me by a gentleman named Pat DeCastell, I think his name was pronounced. He's with Castle Creations, and at the time we were starting electric, they were the only game in town, and still, frankly, I think an awfully good game. They know what they're talking about, and that's what he said we needed. And then it's been backed up by the facts, if you will. Other people, experimenters like Dean Pappas and his buddy Bob, all right, they put numbers and practicality on that and said, yep, that's pretty darn good. If you go much higher than this, then you're in trouble.
Well, Dean was the guy that actually came up with all that for me. I'm just the handle monkey.
I wasn't going to say that, Bob, but believe me, Uncle Dino is my favorite. All right, he's still my favorite person.
Yeah,
Wish the heck
he's a smart guy. I just say yeah, feels good or it feels bad. That's about it.
Mm-hmm. No, but he definitely knows the hows and the what fors and everything like that.
Yeah.
On a different subject, I meant to say something, Stuart. I really liked how you organized your rolls of masking tape. When you was showing your Snoopy, I just happened to look behind you, and I thought that was a good idea. I want to share that with everybody. See how he has the masking tape organized there?
Mm-hmm.
That's sickening.
Yeah.
It was old. It was an old. It was for my kids, and it was to hang their medals up and all that stuff they had in their bedroom, and they didn't want it anymore. So it was like it's like a code hook.
Mm-hmm.
So it just kind of works handy for that.
Nobody should be that organized. So
Well, yeah, look at this. You think I'm organized? I got a mess. I got to
That looks
clean.
good. That's a good idea. I thought that was really good. The only thing I do, I
Uh-huh.
keep my masking tape in Ziploc bags to kind of keep it fresh. When they get old, they get even stickier. So
Yeah.
I kind of seal them up, but I might go for that. What you're showing there. That's a pretty good idea. Thank you.
It's just handy to be able to grab them quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I heard it's good to keep them clean, because it makes a better seal when you're painting.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, the sides of the rolls of masking tape, keep them
Right.
clean.
And if you look, I just throw mine on the shelf. So if you look at mine, it's all kind of grody and got all kind of junk on it.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
okay.
actually, even whether you do that or not, it's always a good idea to, when you stretch out the tape, the first cut you make is 1/8 of an inch off each end and throw away the outer edges. So you got a clean edge to start with.
Yeah.
So,
I'm not painting it much anymore. I'm going to be probably doing mostly monocoat now that I got this new toy right here.
all right.
Cutting some graphics.
That's a handy
Can you
toy.
can you cut monocoat with that? Everybody I've ever
Oh, yeah.
seen has been using vinyl, sticky vinyl and stuff, but
I cut out a Brodak logo out of monocoat.
super.
Really super.
Yeah. And then
Because that's nice and thin.
That's not monocoat, but that's vinyl.
Mhm.
Nice.
So
Very, very cool.
I got a box for my Shrike batteries, and I got another one for my Vector batteries.
So have you done multi-layer designs with the monocoat?
No, but I know a guy. I don't know if you guys know Chris Sterner. Chris Sterner does some crazy stuff with this, and he's the guy that I'm going to be learning from. He's done some really cool graphics. I wish I had it on my computer, I'd show you, but he's done some really cool monocoat layered stuff. Skulls with flags behind it. Just some really cool stuff.
Because I would like to have a shark mouth from my P40.
That's easy. That's easy to do.
Yeah.
Well, I haven't figured that out yet. So that's I've had this thing like 2 weeks. So the software is what I'm trying to figure out.
And which machine do you have there? Which one's that?
This is the Cricut Explorer Air 2. It's not the Maker. It doesn't cut. The Maker 3 will cut balsa wood. This will cut poster board, and that's about as thick as it'll go.
Yeah.
But the Maker 3 will cut light ply and balsa wood.
Yeah, the Maker's a good machine. That's what I've got. That's what Ed's got too.
Yeah.
They both work. They work real well.
Yeah, and you can cut paint mask with it too if you're gonna keep painting, but it's so humid down here now. I think I'm just gonna try to get better at monocoat.
I have a question for Tryon because you haven't been in a while. So what's new with you, Tryon? Do you have anything you want to share with us you've been up to, or any new innovations or any aha moments that are worth sharing?
Well, it's just I saw you guys talking the other day about the bell crank system I'm using, and that's one of the aha moments after I made it was that I realized that I have like a force amplifier built into it. So the idea, my aha moment was that you only have so much line tension through the cables, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's line tension that's usable to move the bell crank and work against the aerodynamic pressure that's created by the flaps and elevator, right? So if you balance it out, it comes to zero all the time, wherever the position is, because you pull on one line, you create a torque in one direction, right? And you have torque on the opposite direction, and have the torque on the main side of the bell crank, which moves the control surfaces, and you have the counter torque from the pressure, aerodynamic pressure. So the idea behind it is that you only have a limited amount of pressure. You can have 90-degree deflection on your control surfaces, but because you have a limited amount of pressure that you can apply to the control surfaces, you can only move them so much because of that.
Wasn't that called the Nazi band wall at one point?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when I was looking at my system after that, because of the way it's built, I basically at neutral point I have lots amount of torque, because if you look at my arm, it's moved like this. Like, let's say this is the bearing over here, right? And this is the pivot point. It goes like that back and forth, right?
All right.
And my control surfaces is somewhere here, connected about halfway in between them. So whatever force I apply here, it's doubled here, right? Now, because of the way it's made, I gotta have a little bit less on a maximum travel, but I still have like a regular 4-inch bell crank with about as the bearing travels outwards, it's going to be probably a 7/8 to 1 inch maximum. So 4-inch to 1 inch is the 2-to-1 ratio, right?
Mm-hmm.
Here, right? But I have a 4-to-1 ratio over here, where I actually am pushing the control surfaces. So I was thinking about that, and it kind of dawned on me, like I can call it lucky or whatever, but I have a lot more. I have almost double the force on the control surfaces than compared to a normal control system. I think that plays a lot into the way the plane can deflect, how fast it can deflect those control surfaces because of the force that's over there, and I think that's why it turns so quick.
Now when I fly, I just turn my wrist. So I'm confused. You mentioned it doubling here.
I'm
Was you
not talking
the
about
bell
that
crank, or was you
part.
talking
I'm talking about the system inside the plane.
Okay, I was just trying to understand what you're saying. Okay.
I can let me see. I can probably do.
Hey, Lynn Burrell's in the house. Thank you, Lynn, for coming in.
Hey, how you doing, Charles?
Doing
Hello,
well,
guys.
So
Good to see you, Lynn.
You too.
Okay, I think this is gonna work. Yeah, let's do this.
All right. And Brent Williams said, "Howdy, guys."
Hey, Brett.
Hey,
Brent,
Brent,
you
did
need to
you
come
get
in
that
so I can order some
message I sent
batteries.
you, Brent? I sent you a message before we started the show.
So if you can make me big, I can show you the stuff
You're full
that I was
screen.
thinking about.
You're full screen now, Tran.
Okay, cool. So you have a typical control triangle. You have a pivot point, right?
Okay.
And just move it like that, and just moves
Right.
the push rod here. I'll say the typical push rod. You push it, right? So this is where you have the line tension here that's applied here and here, right? And based on how much line tension you have, basically that's how much force you can apply here. Okay, and it's going to be multiplied anyways, because this is like 4 inches and this is usually 3/4 to 7/8 or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Typical bell crank
Okay.
alignment, right? All right. In my system, what I have something like this. So I have something like this, right? So I have another pivot point here with an arm and a ball bearing that's right here somewhere. Okay.
Right.
So I'm pretty maxed out right now. Okay. But now look how close this is to here.
Right.
So I'm already having much more force over here.
Well,
Much more force over here compared to the traditional one, right? Okay. Now another thing, because I have a pivot point here and my control, my push rod is set up here. Let me do something, just a quick sample. Okay. So you can see the pivot point of here, the force is applied here. Well, my control push rod is somewhere over here. Make sense?
Not totally to me.
So if you have, let's say, for example, right now, if you look at it, if it's halfway, let's say this is halfway between this and that. If you have 1 pound of force here, actually over there, you're going to have 2.
Okay.
So if you apply 1 pound here, you're going to have 2 on a push rod. Okay. It's mechanical advantage. It's like having a leverage. You pull the leverage here, right?
Right.
But the force, you push a push rod from here. So if I push this up with a 1 pound, if this is in the middle, you're going to have 2 pounds of pressure.
Why
So
don't
it's
you just put pivot point closer to the axle of the bell crank?
that's in addition to that.
Yeah, but
My pivot point is pretty close to the axle of the bell crank. But now, the more you move it, as you can see, this pivot point actually goes a little bit further out. So I'm losing some as the deflection goes up. I'm losing some of it, right? But still, if you measure from here to the position of the bearing, I'm still well within that 3/4 to 7/8 distance, like you have on a traditional bell crank. So at the worst case scenario, I still have double the force that pushes on my control system comparing to a traditional system at the worst case scenario.
Yeah, but you're also giving up some of your leverage in your idler mechanism there, I think. Your bell crank is feeding another bell crank. That's what it amounts to before it finally gets out to the push rod.
Yeah,
so,
but you have to think about it on an individual, independent, right?
Mhm.
So this is my normal bell crank here. Like the bearing would be, the application point would be here. As I go, say, at 30 degrees, my application point might move here, right? So at the neutral point, I might have like here, say, 1/2 inch. Okay. But at 45 degrees, I may have a little bit more, say 3/4 inch. Okay. So I do lose some, right? But now think about a normal bell crank. Isn't this what you have normally?
Well, that's it. I'm not sure that you're really any different than a normal bell crank or normal relationship, because it's still a matter of inputs and outputs, and your
True.
outputs are
True.
varying and
But
everything
you are
like that.
thinking about here, this part of it, right? Now, if you add the second part here with my control arm, right? Okay. And you put the position here, a normal bell crank is going to give you this amount of force, right? Mine gives me almost double that.
But half the movement.
But half, a little bit less movement. That's true. That is also true. But I never needed more.
Yeah.
So what I trade off, I have a little bit wider spacing on my handle, right? To achieve a little bit more travel here. But I have a lot of force on the control surfaces. So to me, it works. I mean, I really like that part of it.
Well, the system works. That's for sure. But
I cannot explain the mathematics of it, and I've got one. I've looked at it. I've got hours of looking in that fuselage, but I can tell you this: it works. That plane is so big and turns so sharp, you won't believe it.
Can you keep up with it, Phil?
I'm still trying to learn to keep up with it. The hard thing is flying anything else and then switching to the Revolution, because when you switch back to something else, you might fly into the ground. It's not so bad switching to the Revolution, except when you try to do a wing over, you find yourself doing the first half of a triangle. But what's bad is when you try to switch back from that to, say, the Nobler or a Ringmaster or even a Pathfinder. They just don't turn as hard as Revolution does. that thing turns so hard and so quick that you really have to pay attention and fly it. You can't just go out there and I'm just going to go out here and fluff one in. No, you'll fly and you'll tear something up. You got to pay attention to fly that thing, but it flies. I mean, it makes me look good. And those of you that know me know I'm middle of the road advanced flyer. I'm not a super advanced flyer, but I can fly that airplane and feel pretty good about it.
And when you're flying your revolutions, Phil, now around neutral, and then
around
when you
neutral,
actually
around neutral, it's not that sensitive. But when you add power, it's like in RC we had dual rate, and it's like a dual rate that's flipped on, because when you pull back, it's like it's a non-linear control.
Exponential.
The more you pull, the exponential rate. That's it. The more you pull, the faster it goes. I mean, and it just, your turns, you watch that big long airplane, and the plane is half again the tail moment of a lot of planes. And you watch it turn and it comes along, you really pop it. Train was after me to pull up on my wing overs harder. And I kept thinking I'm going to stall it, because everything else I turn, when I really pop it, the plane just kind of shudders through. That thing goes bang, and it just goes.
Wow.
But you can't hit it as hard as you can and hold it as long as you're used to holding it, because if you do, you just did the first part of a triangle, not a wing over.
So you have to hit
And
it.
when
but
you're trying to do a wing over and it goes behind you, that's disconcerting. I'm telling you, that'll blow your mind. But it's a different flying airplane, and it just flies so easy. That's the thing; it just flies so darn easy.
But even in a loops, isn't it calm in a loops? And
oh yeah, there's nothing. It's not erratic anywhere. And the funny thing is, you watch it, you look at the controls, and you really study your controls. The flaps don't move as much as the elevator does. He's got the elevators turned down to where the elevators. He's got the flaps turned down where the flaps don't move as much as the elevator does. But the airplane just. I mean, you just have to fly it. If I see some of y'all at the contest and you want to try it sometime, I'll let you try it, because you will be amazed. I've flown Axioma, and I've flown a lot of other really nice airplanes, and this thing don't fly like anything else I've flown. But I mean, I've got the one that's a piece of this and a piece of that, and it flies incredible. I
Yours
can't
is
wait
the,
to get a
Frankenstein?
new one. I've got Frankenstein, and it flies incredible. I can't wait to get a new one. His has an extra spar in it and turns harder than mine does. I can't wait to fly that one.
Very
I'm gonna
cool.
mute this thing so I can eat ice cream.
All right.
yeah, Charles, it's the rate at which it turns to go in on wing, it's about that fast.
Wow.
It's from here. It's literally ting ting. That's all I'm doing.
Huh.
Hit stop, and the plane is already vertical.
So it sounds like you have to get off it real quick, right?
Oh yeah. If you stay on it, you're doing an hourglass already.
Very, very cool. So have you ever tried lengthening your arms on your handle so you can get off quicker and still keep the
Actually, I had to slow it. I was really trying to slow it down, and I'm right now what I'm doing. I'm getting myself a little bit more travel by spacing out my handle a little bit more, and I slow it down at the bell crank. So the bell crank travels more, but I have same travel on the flaps as I had before.
Yeah.
An elevator. So
to our audience, I don't know what month it was, what year it was, but he on several shows, Tryon showed us the innards of his plane, and you could see how his bell crank is machined, how it's made. And I couldn't give you a hint of where to look, but we do have it in our archives of this show, and he actually showed almost like an exploded view of his bell crank and how it works. I've told him he's cheating. It's
pretty, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the technology is, we're don't have anything close to that. At least not to my knowledge. There might be someone else who has something like that, but he actually showed us what he had. So it's pretty phenomenal.
Howard, you saw it a lot of times when we were practicing in Poland, right?
Yeah, I saw your airplane.
Yeah. You saw it in action, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I wish you would have flown it there.
Yeah, I wish you came to Las Vegas. I could have maybe flown it.
Yeah.
Maybe next year, maybe. Because next year you're not going to no world, so maybe you might have a
$700 to go to Las Vegas
maybe not
for a
going to the
contest.
world or Romania. So maybe have a little extra next year.
Hopefully.
But I'm hoping I
Hopefully.
have a little bit extra just for me to go to Las Vegas. That's still a pipe dream right now.
Mm-hmm. I see that. Yeah. I'll try to make it to the Nats anyways. So, yeah.
I don't think I'm going to be there unless some windfall comes through.
Mm-hmm.
Did you buy your lottery ticket today?
I did.
All right. Okay. So.
Yeah, the mega and the super.
Okay. So
I
you're.
don't do much
you're on the
Powerball,
right
but
path.
hopefully the mega is like 920 million, I think.
Yeah, chump change, but I could live on that. So.
You know what they say about lottery tickets? They're punishment for people who did poorly in math.
Yeah, well, it's a tax on people who don't understand statistics. So.
Yeah. Hey, listen, I gotta have to jump off. I got this yokel coming up from Delaware tomorrow morning.
Oh, really?
Oh, hi, Mark. How you doing?
Hey, Robin, before you leave.
Yeah.
I was going to share something nice, but I'll have to change that. I exchanged a few emails tonight with Jim Hoffman.
Yeah.
He said some very nice things about the direction Pampa's going and the newsletters. And so we got to talking about different things, and I told him I hope I can go to the VSC next year. And he said, by the way, you're very lucky to have that good a relationship with Bob Hunt. He said, I love the things he does, but to be that close and to visit with him is pretty special.
Oh man, I'd like to do that too.
So I said,
like my wife's cooking. That's all.
Yeah. So I sent a note back and I said, yes, Bob tells me that all the time.
Just speaking truth. Just speaking facts.
I will be on the road. I'll be on the road at 7 in the morning.
You gonna be here at 9?
Going to be there at 9. Yeah.
I'll be here at 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
Mark, if he ain't there, start without him. That's all.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, he's holding me back.
That's it. Show up, you can feed the dog and whatever else. All right.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, Bobby, I'll see you in the morning.
I tell you what,
Okay.
I'd love
Thanks
to be
for coming
able to
in,
go
Bob.
have Bob
Appreciate
hold
it.
me back.
Good night, guys.
Good night.
Good night,
Thank you
Bob.
again.
All right,
Take
good night,
care,
Bob.
buddy. That's a heck of a fella to have holding you back, Mark.
Yeah, he's really holding me back.
Yeah, I bet.
You have a question or a comment, Brad Lapointe? No, okay. No problem. I have really no more new comments in the chat box. I sent Brent Williams my cousin who's an electronic technician. He sent me some information about wires to build a battery pack and the nickel and copper and stuff like that. And I shared that with Brent, and it's a really good thing. Maybe if I can share it in the chat box, people can take advantage of it.
Yeah.
I thought it was great information.
Charles, can I ask the group a question that I'd really like their input on the answer?
Go ahead.
I think it was the first time I went to Brodak, which may have been 2010, 2011, somewhere in there. And at the time I was flying giant scale RC aerobatics. And that's when myself and Bruce Jennings and Tommy and Craig Gunder decided to get back to control line. And the question was this: watching people at different skill levels, we started talking about, in your opinion, what do you think the split is between how important the pilot is versus how important the airplane is? And does it change as you get to be a better pilot?
Yeah. It definitely
I have
does.
done an experiment to determine this.
Really?
Yes.
Please talk.
One time at the Nats, I stumbled and fell on my butt while I was landing the airplane.
Hmm.
And I usually get about 33 points for landing, and I got an 11. The airplane landed itself. So it's 2/3 pilot, 1/3 airplane.
Ah,
Pretty scientific to me.
Yeah.
well,
I think you
don't
reach the point where the airplane, you get all the airplane it's got to offer and everything. Any airplane will fly well under ideal conditions with everything. You can get an awful lot of performance out of it when things start
if the
getting
airplane
a
is,
little bit off.
yeah, but the airplane has to meet certain criteria.
Exactly, and you can get an airplane, and then the difference at the top end happens with the airplanes that have a little more performance potential across less than ideal conditions, and the airplanes that are tuned to the individual flyers feel. I don't think there's a lot of difference, frankly, between any of the top airplanes. Our humanity means that we all have essentially darn similar reflexes and everything like that. So I think it's a question of matching. I think there's a mental aspect, more like golf or something like that really plays into it too. And you get somebody like, shall we say, like a Paul Walker or something like that, is going to fly 1,000, 1,500, 2,000 flights. I can't even comprehend that. All right. I don't know. I remember the year of the first year when I won the junior championship in 1969, and first time I ever counted my flights for the year. I flew 75 flights that year, and it felt like I was spending every waking moment at the flying field. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wow.
And yeah. So that was, and then when you hear about people like Billy Werwidge, who was first, of course, like that. Al Raby was like that. Paul Walker, it's like that now, and it's like these guys fly so much. I don't know how you can maintain the mental state to stay there, to stay sharp that many times.
Oh yeah, it's hard.
Yeah. Go watch Orestes at a nationals, and he just sits there, fly. The poor batteries are screaming, "Help, mercy! Give me a break!" And everything like that. Fly.
Yeah, no kidding.
And it kind of works out for them. So it's
Back in the day, Jimmy Cassell used to do the same thing.
Yeah.
He would just fly and fly and fly and fly and fly and fly and fly. He'd fly from morning till dark.
Yep.
Charles, can I share something?
Hang on 1 second, because Paul actually raised his hand digitally, and he wanted probably to say something regarding this question Mark has, I imagine.
Yeah, Mark, I don't know if this answers your question, but today we actually kind of made a comment to this new pilot that came out and started flying with us, and we told him he's limited right now to the plane that he's flying, and we're trying to push him to. I gave him a twister, and he's flying a shoestring right now, and I said that plane was built for racing, not for stunting. And I said, you're at the point now where you need to get a better airplane so that your skills can continue to grow.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'll tell you why I'm asking. One reason is when I learned how to fly RC, it was a 3 or 4 channel airplane, shoulder, high wing, a lot of dihedral, very light, maybe an OS 15 in it, something like that. And I found as I got to be as I had more stick time, guys that were flying Kuwaris and the top stunt models at the time, I got a chance to fly some of those, and I've never flown something so easy in my life.
Mm-hmm. That's
Okay.
the
And
key.
when I went to giant scale and when I went to 40% scale with a 37-pound airplane, 120-inch, I'm telling you, I could teach someone to fly on that airplane quicker than any trainer I've ever seen. So I think something that holds people back is that they're getting something like a Cox plane with short lines that are awful in the wind, Yeah, even the ones we use at Triple Tree, are okay. So, if I'm trying to grow, since I've convinced myself anyway that AMA is really not in the business of finding and developing new pilots. I don't believe they are, not for us anyway. I think it's something that Pampa would like to take a look at. Can we feed the machine? And I think the worst thing you can do is give someone an airplane that's going to drive them right out of the hobby, because it's not a good enough airplane.
That's Mark. I always said the same thing. I think what Cox did was a disservice to the hobby, because he turned away so many people by trying to fly and crashing all the time. It's like, this is hard. I'm not going to do it, right?
Yeah.
And on the you have those who really persevere on those things, but I think they would persevere anyways.
Hang on a second.
Yeah.
Joe just joined us. Joe Gilbert, thank you so much for coming in. Mark had a great question to all of us. Would you mind repeating that question, Mark?
No, actually, Joe, this conversation started because of you at Brodak one year with the 576 Ringmaster. So the question was, among a bunch of us sitting and watching different people fly, was what percentage of what's the right combination for a pilot and an airplane? Meaning, is the pilot 90% of the experience and the plane is 10? Does it change if you're a beginner, intermediate, advanced, or top 5 flyer? And I'm really gearing it more toward the beginners, the people just learning to fly. Are we giving them airplanes that they're not going to have success with because they're just not right?
A good airplane's way easier to fly, Mark. If you got a good airplane, it's easier to fly. Paul, remember I gave you, Paul, that orange Tucker Special? That was a decent airplane in the day. You're on mute.
Yeah. Yep. That was a good flying airplane. That kind of got me over the hump.
So I don't know how you get good airplanes. Bob Hunt had an airplane one time. Mark, you had it. It was a profile, non-fly. That was a good airplane for what it was. A good airplane.
Yep.
So I think Tryon's talking about the Cox 049 stuff. Man, I flew the crap out of them when I was a kid.
Yeah.
But they didn't teach you how to stunt, but I didn't have any gas. I'd put 10 feet of line on them and whip them, and I'd just swing them and fly them, whip them until I got dizzy and crashed. But I was going around circles, man, but stunts hard. It is hard.
Yeah. No question. It's much better with a plane that'll do it. A competitive airplane, or you take a pilot that can just go out and go up and down, and he goes out with a plane that's just not a good airplane, and he's going to get discouraged. But you go give him a good airplane, and I say this because I've done it. Gave a guy an airplane, and he took it out, and he eventually crashed it. But he crashed it trying to learn to stunt, not just trying to go around in circles and keep it from hitting the ground or going over. He actually was trying to learn to stunt and crashed it and destroyed it. But he was trying. He was confident enough with it that he could try stuff with it. And now I find myself building another one that's just like the one I gave him. Anyway, what can I say?
Yeah.
Let me let Carl in. I cut off Carl.
Well, going back to the Cox airplanes, you got to remember that these Cox airplanes was a very cheap way to get into the hobby for young kids. Let's say from maybe 8 to 14 years old, if that old. And the thing that the Cox airplane did, it just didn't teach you how to fly. It also taught you how to start the motor. It taught you how to troubleshoot, like change the glow heads. And the PT-19 was great for a trainer because if you crashed it, as long as you're on grass, the rubber bands just came off and you just replace the rubber bands and clean the motor off and go again. Sure, it wasn't a stunt, but it taught you how to go around in circles without getting dizzy. It taught you a little bit eye and hand coordination to bring it up and bring it down. And and I looped mine a few times, the inside loop. So there's a little bit of training going on when you buy these cheap
There is.
plastic airplanes. And then when you get confident, you move up to something like a ringmaster, and then you try different stuff, and you get and the more you learn, the higher up the ladder you go. It's just like riding a dirt bike. You want your kid to learn how to ride a 125cc dirt bike, but you're not going to start out on that. You're going to get him a mini bike or whatnot, or you can get used to falling and learn how to catch himself. It's the same principle. So there are steps of learning and developing skills and flying in the hobby.
Okay. Well, in general, I think whatever your skill level is, the plane you are flying should be a little bit better than that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
I don't
you
think
should not fight the plane. You should have room to improve.
It's usually though how the plane is built, because if you look back, how long ago did Bob Hunt win the world championship?
78.
Yeah. So now you telling me that airplane isn't any good compared to the new ones today?
No,
It really doesn't have a lot to do with the style there. I guess if you flew a high wing or a Cox, yeah. But once you get into any of Billy's airplanes or Bob's airplanes or whoever's airplanes, if they're trimmed good, built well, no warps in the wing, them three things that what Bob says, straight, stiff, and something or other.
Well,
They're going to fly well enough, because these guys going from Bob's airplane to today's airplanes, there's not a 500-point increase on that.
No.
Is there a 3-point increase on it? I seen Joe win with that 542 or whatever that thing is.
576.
Right. Ringmasters ain't no good stunners. I see him just blow everybody out of the water. So it's a good airplane. It's not the design, I really don't think. I think the best thing to make people learn, electric. It's consistent.
Oh, here
over
we go
it.
again.
Seriously.
Horse shit.
Now the
It
question
gives
is,
Get
gives
outta
you
here.
less things to have to worry about.
Oh,
It's
baloney. It's just different things to worry about. It's not less, it's just different things to worry about.
What do you got to worry about?
Well, I've seen them at the Nats fail and not make it through the pattern and crash. I've seen them at various contests not make it through the pattern and crash. Why
Hey,
are they
Charles,
having
make me big
You
again.
guys sit here and tell me, oh, they have no problems. They never have a problem with an electric. Bullshit.
They have less problems.
Baloney.
Attaboy, Dennis.
Okay, I know Steve missed the question. The question was more about, is it the plane or is it the pilot?
No,
as far as
it's the pilot. I was been watching on.
you was okay. All right.
No way, it's both.
It's
and
kind
It
of
has to be both.
it's kind of an evolution. You want like Mark, Tryon said to me, in my opinion, you want to have the better airplane, and you want to be able to maybe eventually eclipse that, and then you get a better plane again, and you just keep growing and getting better and better and better. But in the beginning, the pilot a newbie has no idea. I mean, there's so much going on. It's hard for him to tell what's going on. He can't even help you say the plane's too sensitive.
I guarantee you, if you can't fly a 4-foot bottom and Tryon hands you his airplane that he puts in 4-foot bottoms all the time, you could still not fly a 4-foot bottom.
That's not what we're talking about, Steve. You're missing the point to me, in my opinion. We're talking about growing the hobby. We're not going to get. Mark is saying that we're not going to get probably new pilots, but as far as growing our hobby, is it the pilot or is it the airplane? And he's asking us what we think, and to me, it's an evolution because new people don't know what's going on, and then as you understand, then you understand what actually trimming is, and you can tell what that incremental change you made, that it really made a dramatic change. But when you first start, and you can give someone a trim plane and they don't know what's going on because they're still dealing with dizziness or turning the other way, or it's a lot that that we do. I mean, it looks simple, but it's a lot that we're doing. You know,
Right.
and it's kind of it's
And you're
dynamic.
You're getting engine runs, you're getting this, you're getting that. It's just too much for people to learn, is what makes it hard. And that's why I say with electric, it's so simple. For the engine run, you take that problem out of it.
Yeah, they could
Concentrate on other things. It's not that glow is better or electric is better. Electric is easier.
It's guys, it's neither one.
Someone starting.
Go ahead, Phil.
It's neither one. You want to get people started in the hobby. You want to get people flying. You want to get people to want to come back. It's going to take people that know how to fly, that are interested enough to help the new people get started. A lot of our guys, well, two of our guys anyway, will take an old plane to the field that they never take out of their car unless somebody shows up that wants to fly, wants a newbie that wants to fly. Then that plane will come out, they'll put lines on, they'll get ready, and they'll get them out there in the center of the circle and try to teach them. But you want to grow the hobby, you got to have people willing to take time out of their day and their flying time to take somebody else out there and get them on the handle. That's what'll grow the hobby, not better airplanes or better pilots. It's, you got to start them somewhere. You can't have a better pilot till you got a pilot. You got to train. You got to take time to teach him and get him flying. Take one of your old ringmasters, redo it. I don't care how banged up it is. Cover the darn thing in monocoat. Get ready to go to the field with it. Just get it. Go take a 25 or something and put on it. Take it out there and just get something that'll go around in circles. And just go out there and show them when you raise your hand. You don't have to turn your wrist. When you raise your hand, the plane goes up. When you lower your hand, the plane comes down. And just let them do that a time or two, and then just show them if you want to, and the plane's capable. When you get downwind good, take them through a loop one time. That's all it takes. You got them hooked. You just set the hook. All you got to do is get them up, down, show them up and down. Let them do a loop one time and let them land it. Go ahead, Dennis.
Go ahead, Joe. Actually, Joe raised his hand. I'm sorry, I missed you, Dennis. Go ahead, Joe.
Years ago at Tucson, Mike Travell was out there, and all I had was a Tucker Special. His girlfriend wanted to fly. My contention is you can take a stunt ship that I can fly a good pattern with, and I can teach people how to fly it. I think you're doing a disservice to people to get them to fly an airplane. You got to give them full up and full down to change it.
Oh, I don't mean that.
Put them on a great airplane. And in one time, I had her flying level laps with that Tucker Special all by herself. When the engine quit, I said, don't move, don't move, don't move. Raise your hand, raise your hand. And she landed that airplane in the first time she ever flew it. I think you're doing a disservice getting these trainer airplanes that they're hard to fly.
Yep.
You get an airplane that's easy to fly, and I think I can solo them quicker than you can with one that you have to wrestle to get it to fly. My opinion.
I'm not talking about.
Hang on, Phil. Hang on, Phil. Hang on. I interrupted Dennis. Dennis, go ahead, Dennis.
I think the other thing that we have to keep in mind is because we're all stunt pilots, we think like stunt pilots or combat pilots. We have to recognize that a lot of people are perfectly happy going out and flying circles and flipping their ringmaster through a lazy 8 or something like that. And that is the alpha and omega. Not everybody's got the desire to go out and win the Walker Cup. Right.
That's
true.
100% true, Dennis.
And I think, and of course, everybody, based on their interest and everything like that, they'll, they may or may not decide, to pick that up somewhere along the line. And then you just keep, like just keep them, try to keep the airplane just ahead of them and keep going from there. So, I don't think we want to be using using full stunt planes as basic trainers, even though I think Joe made a really good point, but I just, I don't think the complexity or anything like that, the consequences of, things going wrong, there's no such thing as a little crash with a stunt plane.
No, but Dennis, there's a lot of airplanes that will just elevator only that will fly really good. You don't have to wrestle them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm with Jeff.
I'll tell you from Howard, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm just saying, I agree with Joe. The trick would be getting something that flies as well as an impact that's really easy to build and doesn't get hurt too much when it crashes. But yes, you get somebody going a lot quicker with a good airplane.
Kiyosaki.
Yep. I
Let
got.
me let Phil
Kiyosaki,
back in.
that'd be
I
a good
interrupted
airplane.
Phil. Hang on, Lynn. I'm sorry. Phil,
I'm sorry.
go ahead, Phil. And then I got to read a few chats and some comments from the chat box. So go ahead, Phil. And then Lynn,
No,
after I read the chat.
I was through, but I was going to say let Stuart go. He had his hand up, and I never did hear what he had to say.
Mm-hmm.
Stuart, you had your hand up?
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's okay. Basically, I look at it as stages. You first get out there and you go in circles, you just do circles, go up and down a bit. And then when you really start to do some of the stunts, then are you going to be flying a big plane, or do you have somebody on your handle with you at all times because you're going to crash it? Like it's like, and with the reason that's why I ended up using the combat planes, because one, they're cheap, and two, if you crashed them, they're easy to fix. So but I was given a Pathfinder, and when I did fly it, I just flew it around, did like loops, and it immediately feel the difference. It's like, wow. But when I was learning the cloverleaf and everything, I was using the high speed combat with a 15 on it, and it actually was easier, and I didn't have to worry about it, because if I got in trouble, I just pulled it one way or the other, and it came out of it. So, and again, it's cheap for $50 plane. And I got the ones out of the trash bin, so I fixed them up. And so, I guess you got to look at the stages where the person's at. And then, because I wanted to learn the pattern, and I'm not going to fly the good Pathfinder I got until I can get the whole pattern down. So it just, I guess, depends on where you're at, I guess.
Well,
let me catch up in the chat, you guys. Hang on one second. Brent Williams said people fly terrible junk for way too long. A bad plane definitely holds back progress. A great plane makes flying way more fun and accurate. Then John Shukalak said, I think the Cox airplanes worked for someone hopelessly addicted to control line to begin with. A question is, would more people stay with control line if they started out with a good airplane? And then
Good question.
Good question. And then was it you, Mark? That was
yeah.
Go ahead, Mark.
Yeah, with the opportunity that the people at Triple Tree have given me and the others who help people put them on the handle, and we've had, I don't know, 3,500 people on the handle and more just in conversation. I bet you that 30% of that group used to fly control line. Okay. And they could not get it successful. And that was the last time they handled it. And they probably wouldn't have flown, except we had little electric ringmasters. Okay. With a speed control on it.
Right.
And that just lit it up, because it gave them some confidence that I can do this. I can do this. And what I'd like, and this group has the knowledge, I would think this group could put together a design that would probably fit the needs of someone who would really like to try it, even if they never go beyond, an inside loop.
Kiyosaki.
Yeah, Kiyosaki. We put that in the chat. Very good. And
I think
Lynn
I might
Burrell,
have
I think I interrupted you, Lynn. You want to chime in some more?
No, I just also said what he was saying, that the Kiyosaki would be a good airplane. It's a good flying airplane without flaps and fairly dispensable, so to speak.
Yeah.
Now, Samantha taught her boyfriend how to loop, land, everything in like 4 flights with a electric ringmaster with a throttle. She worked. She went out there with him and worked the throttle. When he started getting dizzy or whatever, she slowed it down. When he was going to do a loop, she gave it more power, all that kind of stuff. And then they practiced landings, they practiced takeoffs. I mean, it went so, I'm like, oh my God, I couldn't believe.
I agree.
And then by the end of the day, she had him doing lazy 8s.
Yeah.
you know, in one day it was like 4 flights. And it's like, holy shit, you know, as far as he got, I'd already crashed like 2 or 3 airplanes.
Wow.
I agree.
I have a comment from William Chapin. He says, I think Dennis might have ideas about retaining newcomers. His dad was the most helpful person I have met in model aviation of any sort, and he has a big smiley face.
Can't argue that.
That's nice.
Arch was good to me. Woo!
Yeah, he was. He was good to everybody.
He was. I met him at Brodax, and I came from his blind side, and I said, "Hi, Mr. Adamson." And he turned around and gave me a welcome that I thought he had mistaken me for Phil Granderson or something, you know?
No, he met everybody like that.
That's Arch, man.
He met everybody.
I was
like
so,
that.
I mean, really, I've only had like 3 greetings like that my whole life. I met my wife's grandfather. He greeted me like that, and Art Adamson, and then I don't know if you guys know this guy named Art Williams, but those 3 people, you know, most people, you know, they just greet you and say, "Hey, nice to meet you," whatever, you know. But these 3 gentlemen made you feel really special, and I was just amazed at how Art Adamson greeted me.
Art made everybody feel special. That was
Dennis.
Art's gift.
Dennis.
Yeah, Dennis.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I can assure you that my dad did not mistake you for Phil Granderson. All right.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
mean, Phil, without being, you know, too delicate, Phil was what, about 6'10" or something. I don't know how tall he was. He actually knew. Yes, he was taller than you, and let it go at that.
Yeah.
No, but he was genuinely happy to meet people, and that's who he was. And
Dennis, Arch like me, he loved Colleen.
Well, tell the rest of the story. Colleen probably loved him too, didn't she? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
I
it.
think all of them did. I think all the
That's
wives
it.
liked Art.
I never understood him and the ladies. I mean, he was just crazy with him. But
they're the
anyway.
best
He was
thing on
Italian.
Okay, hey,
last-
back to the point. The Teosakis and all that are nice flying airplanes, would make great trainers. They actually bounce pretty good and everything like that. But the one thing that the Cox airplanes did, you got to keep alert for too, is the Cox airplanes made your heart go pitter patter. All right, the Teosaki won't do that.
Yeah.
I don't know how many. You know, I was working at Joe's Hobby Center, and we sold, by comparison to the super or the chain stores and everything, we didn't sell hardly any. People would walk in, they'd see the Cox Stuka hanging from the ceiling, nose down and everything. Those suckers flew out the door. All right. Worst airplane, probably the worst of the whole lineup.
I agree. I can loop
But
mine.
boy, did they look tough. Man, they look nasty.
Yep.
So I think the answer might be, I would like to see if we could explore something like the foamies that the RC guys are doing. They're getting very pretty airplanes that are.
That's what I was gonna
in
say.
some cases, they're very. I don't know how good they bounce. Really, I think that there's probably ways, but you can probably also get replacement parts for them too. So
This is like $129 with the motor, with everything.
Mm-hmm.
If that's how we're training everybody in RC, is with these.
Mm-hmm. Is
I
that
mean-
I can't tell. Is that a
Whoops,
foam?
whoops.
Foam?
Yeah, it's all foam.
Okay.
It's got reinforcing things in it. I've flown it. It flies so much better than airplanes I have built myself.
Very nice. And Tryon, he wants to say something.
I want to share something, a screen.
Okay.
But yeah, I've been thinking about trying to make something like that, how I can convert it to control line.
Can you guys see this?
Yeah, this is you at the World Championship.
Yeah. And I think this is at the square part. That's how fast it turns.
Mm-hmm.
Len is bored to death.
No, I'm not bored.
It's just like boom, boom, boom. It's just like
It's really hard to get that perspective watching the plane fly, though. I think
Yeah.
it had to be something I have in my hand.
Mm.
That
Triangle was
corner was
pretty.
pretty quick. That top of that corner was
Triangle was pretty. Yeah.
yeah. That was pretty quick.
yeah, it's yeah. I think in triangle is most evident, and then it's probably in a hourglass.
That was kind of hard to tell on that one.
Sorry about
Yeah.
that.
That's okay. I'm just saying that I'm sure that if I was the flyer plane, I would. Oh yeah, I remember
You'd
that
like
was
it.
like
You'd
yeah.
like. I flew it. I
It's
flew it
easy.
once and was sold.
It's easy to fly.
I flew
Yeah,
it
you
That's
once
flew it,
right.
and
Joe,
was
right?
sold.
That's
I
right.
had
You
to have
flew this
one.
plane at the Nats, right? Right, Joe Gilbert.
Lots of times. How many? Half a dozen or more? It's a good airplane, dude. You put my hand and my lines on it, and I'll beat you with it. And I'm bragging.
Mhm. Yeah. No, I know you would. Yeah, for sure you would.
Good airplane. And that airplane is not holding you back in any way, shape, or form.
Orestes flew it in Florida, and I flew his Shark. I was just uh, curious about it. I'm gonna stop sharing right now. And Orestes made me like a great compliment. He said, Troyan, with that plane you can beat anybody.
Yeah.
Airplane's not holding you back.
No,
No, so
no,
that
it's
airplane is easier to fly than any other airplane you've flown, or
You ask me
something
that?
else.
I would prefer my Blue Max over his, but that airplane will fly.
Okay.
because yeah,
I've
you're
never
used to it. Yeah,
I'm used
yeah,
I've
you're
never
so
flown the Blue
into
Max,
your
but
Blue Max. Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
I've never flown the Max, but I'm telling you what, that thing's easy to fly.
It's a good
I
airplane.
flew it. First time I flew it, I took off and did a climb and a dive with it. And I said, okay, it'll turn. Let's just fly it. So once I was sure it was going to turn and make the turns, I just flew it and had a ball with it. And I landed it. And Tom Looper told me, he says, you realize you're flying that thing further into the turn than you're flying anything you own except your Kiyosaki. I said, no, I didn't realize that. He said, you're putting 4-foot bottoms in with that airplane every time. And that's not your airplane. I said, well, it flies very reassuring. It's very comfortable.
Richard
that's the
Oliver
reason-
flew that airplane at
Yeah.
Zach, remember?
Mhm.
And Richard gave that sucker what it's worth.
Yeah.
Your airplane's not going to hold you back.
No. Yeah.
Corrective practice is what you have to have for any of them.
Absolutely, absolutely. But when you have something that far outclass you, it's so easy to do it.
It's correct.
Yeah, but if you're matched to your plane very closely, it's hard to push it a little bit farther.
Okay.
That's the way I look at it. You know, just like I used to fly like a crappy twister, right? It wasn't a twister. It was not a twister. It was my own design to control, but it was like that, right? And the motor would quit on me, and the plane would not fly. Would fly okay, but not not a high performance because it was my own design, whatever I thought I wanted to do with it. And after that, I switched to an SV12 with a OS Max 46 VF on it and stuff like that. So it's like jumping out of the Yugo into a Ferrari, right? And when I flew that plane for the first time, I was like, my face dropped, and I was like, what the heck just happened here? And I learned to do the rest of the pattern on the plane in a matter of 3 weeks. I had the whole pattern done. I didn't know how to do a square 8. I didn't know how to do a vertical 8 or an hourglass. I knew how to do inverted flight and inside and outside loops, and I just started to do some squares, right? But that's all I knew before the SV12. But once I got with the SV12, even though I didn't know how to trim it or anything like that, the plane was still flying very well in its worst trim possible far better than what I thought it could. It's makeable, and it was so easy to fly that it allowed me to move up so fast. I went in at the contest in I was in California at the time, South Los Angeles. I think it's the same contest site that you went, Charles, and you have your twister.
Yeah, Wooden Arrows.
Wooden Arrows, yeah. I went over there and I flew my first control lines aerobatics competition in USA. And I was flying in a beginner with ASV-12. It was kind of fun to watch. So I flew the beginner pattern, right? And after that, I started to fill in the gaps. I did a reverse wing over, as good as I could, and I did I filled in the outside squares and the triangles and the vertical eights and the hourglass and the four-leaf clover, and that pretty much had the whole pattern in there, right? And the judges came after that. After I landed, this was my first flight, official flight in the United States, and I'm landing the plane, and the judges come to me. It's like, you are never gonna fly beginner ever again.
Right.
So I moved up to intermediate after that, and I've won every single intermediate contest that I went to, including
Can we get back to Mark's question?
Okay.
Mark, did you get the answer you're looking for, you think?
Yeah, I think so. I don't want to take something to the board and talk about it and not feel grounded about it. There are certain people that are just so good they could fly something. I saw a guy fly a $25,000 turbine jet for the owner. Okay, and did a quick ground check, took off the airplane, and did an incredible flight with it, landed it. And I knew his father, and so I met the son. I said, "How did it fly?" He said it was okay, except the guy hooked the ailerons backwards.
Oh,
Lord.
Now that takes a special talent.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Okay. It was Frank Knoll's son who was flying.
Oh yeah, well, no wonder. Yeah.
So, but there's so few people like that.
That's not what you're looking for.
No, it's not what I'm looking for. And no, I think the answers have been very good. I like the idea of an elevator only airplane.
Absolutely.
That can take a hit, and if it can be done out of foam, one of my concerns is the price to build a balsa airplane.
I think foam's, and I don't disagree with Steve. I think you should have. Remember when you guys had that ring rat or whatever it was called?
Yeah.
If you're going to crash, cut the throttle, and it saves a lot of trouble when they hit.
Oh, absolutely.
I can't argue, Steve. I think electrics is the right answer for beginning starting.
And I'd like to work up, a foam airplane that's cheap, because Mark, you remember, first I started out flying control line, Cox airplanes, crash shit out and whatever. Then I went to RC. You spend 3 months building an airplane. Doesn't fly worth the shit, whatever. You crash it. Now you're done flying for another 3 months again.
Mm-hmm.
That's why combats are good.
And usually by the second crash, if it's not much progress, them guys are gone.
Yeah.
To put in 3 months into an airplane that lasts you 3 or 4 flights, and all the money you spend, people say, man, that ain't worth it.
Yeah.
But these foamies, we break them. You can take a heat gun and straighten them back out and stuff like that.
Really glue, tape them.
Yeah, tape them. And we're getting the guys back, a lot of times back up after the crash, that isn't real bad, flying that same day.
Yeah.
Well, at least they're having fun, and it ain't taking them 3 months. May take 3 days to get one, and 3 or 4 hours to put it together. I mean, hell, the servos are coming in them now, and you just, you got to program your radio and throw in a few screws and shit like that. It's easy. It used to be really hard when you learned. And until you learn to love something, you're not willing to put in that much time.
That's the key right there.
That's a good point. Yeah, you love it. You have to
I
get
love it.
hooked.
When you guys,
Hey, I have an idea for a plane for beginners, and it would be, you guys familiar with flight test?
Yes.
Okay, that will be very plausible thing. You know, just fold a cardboard and stuff like that, and put like a twin like a humbug kind of thing, right? We have with two rudders. They go to the back with a big elevator, which is supported kind of midway in between them, so you have much more elevator surface, and yet you have good control over it. And there'll be an idea.
well, yeah,
Sounds
the other
pretty cheap.
thing is RC, they're doing the cardboard airplanes.
Mhm.
And in Germany,
With dollar foam.
yeah, they do that. It's like it looks like a paper bag over some kind of foam.
No, this is paper, just paper.
There's
Over
one
foam.
here.
It's a sheet of foam that's about a quarter of an inch thick, 3/16 to quarter of an inch thick, and it has a, yeah, there you go, and has paper on both sides.
Yeah, the guys locally are building them out of corrugated plastic. That's what they used. They picked them up at the after the election.
No, that's heavy.
All those stupid signs that were out. I mean, they made a bunch of planes out of those things.
Yeah.
But the ones
Coroplast.
from Germany come stamped, like the old die crushed airplanes,
Yeah.
but they die cut them and then they just fold them. They got like little cuts in them and you do stuff.
That's it, Stuart.
That's it.
This is foam
Yes.
board. This is foam board. And
Yes.
the one thing is, if it's electric, then you don't have to worry about the fuel or anything.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so basically, yeah, it's pretty simple.
Yeah.
When
And
yeah,
you can get some like that. Put make a symmetrical airfoil. You all have to do just score it correctly and put a twin boom on it and a nose on it, and off you go.
Yeah.
Those are
The
nice.
ones from Germany are all high wings.
Thanks, Stuart.
For
Yeah.
trainer RC stuff now.
I
But
mean,
if you could figure something like that up, I mean, they just bring it together and glue it, with hot glue gun, and then they tape on the hinges, and it's like, God, it's so easy, If you
Yeah.
and they're really cheap. If you can make something like that somebody could do in a few hours,
Mm-hmm.
that didn't cost that much money. It crashes, get a wing for it, for $10 or something.
yeah,
Yeah.
like $10 plane. That's all they are. And then I covered mine with shipping tape.
Mm-hmm.
So that the moisture in the water, if it's wet out, like the grass and that, then it doesn't mess things up.
I'll be darned. Good idea.
Hey
Yeah.
guys, I'm going to end the live stream, but let me read the last chats. William Chapin says, I still have a magician and a forerunner that came from Big Art when he was helping me. And then Frederick Zoller says, yes, I was thinking about electric foam, good designs and affordable. And then Frederick goes on to say control line, obviously. And then William Chapman goes on to say, perhaps folded foam board like a flight test airplane. Flight test. Hey, Mike Lunky. Hey, how you doing? And then Frederick Zoller goes on to say, yes, like a little Satan bee. And then William Chapman comes in. This is the last comment. He says, with electric power, you won't break the muffler off the Fox 35 every time the plane bounces off the ground. Very good point. I've broken so many mufflers off of Fox 35s. Good point. Anyways, I'm going to end the live stream, but hey, thanks, gentlemen, for coming in. And hopefully you captured Gary's physical address if you want to send Gary a donation either through sending money, cash, or a check. Well, if you do cash, obviously you got to hide it or check. And if you want to do the PayPal, his email is posted inside the chat here. and you can send him a donation that way. He had to bail out because he's still getting over what he had. And anyways, hey, we had a really good show. Thank you very much for coming in.
Thank you, Charles.
You're welcome. And we'll be back Monday. Hopefully you have a chance to go out and flying, depending on where you live, or work on your shop and come back and tell us all about it. So until then,